Hello, my name is Michael Conneely, and this is one of 3 little videos about Manannán, god of the ancient Irish, god of the sea, and basically it's connected to our Druid Forest School. And the Druid Forest School has many courses to meet the gods and goddesses of the ancient Irish, Druid mystical energy work, and to teach the Ogham, the mystical ancient Irish tree alphabet connected to the other worlds. And also, during summer months, we do wonderful mystical West of Ireland tours. You can book into them. There'll be a list on the Druid Forest School website in January coming up for the tours that you can choose from to book individually or as a group in 2019. So here we've just been working with the nature of Manannán, and I feel that we've made some very worthwhile realizations, and those realizations are strengthening and can develop our perception of truth, can develop the power and continuation of our magical will. So what's it all about? Well, basically the Tuatha Dé Danann, the people of the goddess Danu, came to Ireland, I would say about 2,500 years ago, and they landed just down the coast there at Killary Harbour. I think there's very good evidence for that. And basically they came with the intention of restoring Ireland to the divine intention that existed before the world was made, that was in the heart of goddess Danu. But in their time, the dark and twisted Fomorians had overtaken Ireland, and so they returned, having learned much magic on great voyaging, and learned surpassing craft skill, and they came to restore Ireland to the divine intention. That was what they sought to do. And it's like the Iliad. It was a time when the gods walked the earth, and one of their gods was Manannán, god of the sea. Okay, what is the divine learning of Manannán? Well, he's actually vast in his offering and his essence. But one of the things he shows us, if we're open to it, is to penetrate illusion and non-reality. The mists of Manannán can surround the god. We can be fooled into thinking the mists, the illusions of our life, are real. But if we journey to meet Manannán, we see that strong sea god who stands beyond the mists of illusion. Although, of course, because with Manannán nothing is exactly clear, and everything and its opposite is true. The mists can defend us, and we may need to use mists to defend us in certain situations. But essentially, Manannán is Lord of our divine true self, the blueprint that existed before the world was born, and we are incarnations one after the other to work with certain tasks and to achieve certain skills. And so our true reality is the blueprint, and we need to make our connection to that, to realign our lives to connect to that. But also, Manannán is our unconscious, and this society brings us up in a conscious way. So much academic learning is valuable, but just conscious detail. Modern societies are controlled by bureaucrats, the modern curates, but that isn't life. And so we need to move beyond the conscious, the organized, the definitions of our location and our time, to the vaster truth, to that huge self that underlies our everyday self. And this is what Manannán does. Working with Manannán, we suddenly see patterns that are holding us back, and we need to walk through the mists to the sun the sun that shines on our true self. And Manannán is magic. And so, you know, on the Druid Forest School website, you'll see courses for all the Irish gods and goddesses. A wonderful course for the Ogham, the tree alphabet of the ancient Irish Druids, but also a past life course and a magical will course to identify a target for your magical will and to strengthen it and keep it going through time. Okay, what are the attributes of Manannán that have come down to us from 2,500 years ago? Preserved through medieval manuscripts that, of course, have their limitations, being written by monks, although, of course, written for noble patrons who probably had much more of an idea about the great god Manannán. So the first thing I'd mention is his sword, Fragarak. So his sword can cut through any armour. His sword can slice armour. And of course, we surround ourselves with armour. We think our armour is our true self. But it's not at all, of course. It's our egoic personality. And so we can use the sword of Manannán emblem to discover that true spark within, the divine us. Another thing about the sword of Manannán is that when he points it at anyone, they are compelled to tell the truth. The next thing I'd mention is his horse, Eombar, water foam or flowing mane. And his horse can travel as easily across water as across land. And again, there's a metaphor for journeying, shamanic journeying. And so to Manannán, the sea is like a flowery plain. And there's a metaphor there for our lives. Because if we can bring a more divine perception, the everyday becomes like a flowery plain. He has a crane bag where he keeps his treasured possessions. Most importantly, and the group's been working with this, he has his boat scuba tea. And basically, he will let you go on a voyage in his boat. And in that voyage, you can be open to seeing him, to learning from his strong attributes, his power, his form, his beauty, and to learning about what are the true agendas you have now to be able to to voyage over sea and past rocks, all those sort of things. And I'll be mentioning a couple of journeys that people did in a separate video, as well as telling a story about Manannán in a separate video. Next, the cloak of concealment. And sadly, I think we all have to use a cloak of concealment sometimes, although we have to recognize the dangers to us of operating from behind a cloak of concealment. He's Lord of the Dead. The realm of the dead lies at the bottom of the ocean. We're in the far west, and beyond the west is the land of the dead. Very, very important. Manannán is a trickster. He's called the churl in a drab coat, but he is no churl. Magnificence lies behind the illusion of the drab coat. And so, as you'll be hearing from one of the stories I'm going to tell you about in one of the separate videos, Manannán above all calls us not to believe face reality. Situations come at us that have a divine meaning, where what we see might even be horrible, difficult, blah, blah, blah. But there's a divine learning. How wonderful a God am I describing here? Really important, Manannán has a cauldron of regeneration, and he's associated with nurturance, associated with pigs that can be eaten and are reborn, a symbol in the ancient Celtic consciousness that we have to find what nurtures us and not stick to what imprisons us or harms us. Regeneration, death and rebirth, that's what we have to embrace as our life goes on. We absolutely have to if we're ever going to shine. And the last point I'd mention, oh man, there's so many more. Well, he's a necromancer, a sorcerer, according to the Book of Fermoy, magical. But I will just say as a final thing, the Tuatha Dé Danann just got sick of having to endlessly fight off invaders because they were concentrating on spiritual search and magic and craft beauty. They had a magical, fairy-like appreciation of beauty and spirituality and potential. So when the Milesians invaded, yet another invasion, the Tuatha Dé Danann went into the hollow hills, and they said they would wait there until humanity was ready to receive their message again. And just over 100 years ago, W.B. Yeats, Lady Gregory, A.E., Ella Young, those sort of people opened the door. Now, with these Druid Forest School courses, that door can be brought wide open for you to connect to a worthy connection with the Tuatha Dé Danann, a connection that isn't just sort of grubbing from details in manuscripts, but is linking to the fact that the Tuatha Dé Danann gods themselves are facets of the divine. They are faces of the divine. And so when it came for the time that the Tuatha Dé Danann said, we are retreating to the Shees, to the hollow hills, according to one account at least, it was Manannán who adjudicated which members of the Tuatha Dé Danann should go to which mound. And he himself dwells in the Shee, waiting for us to find once again the sublime beauty of the Tuatha Dé Danann. And it wasn't an accident that they came here to Ireland, just as the Neolithic farmers of 5,500 years ago came here. It's because there are such incredible earth energies in the rocks here. And indeed, if you go to places off the road on my tours, you can lay your hands on the rocks and you will be amazed at the power of the energies and what sense of yourself they can give. So, hope to hear from you. Thank you.